I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
President after president, party after party.
Repeat after me.
The peaceful transition of power that in today's world can be hard to find. Democrats say that's all at risk. They say President Trump won't take the loss. He'll destroy America just to keep his power.
The president would not commit to a peaceful transition of power. This is not something that we expect to hear in the United States.
But don't they know? We haven't had a peaceful transition of power since 2008.
Because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
We lost the essence of America the day President Trump was elected. Because it all started on day one. The Russian collusion, the protests, the marches, the allegations, the rumors, the riots. Obama is the only president who has refused to leave D.C.
The road ahead will be long. Our climb will be steep. We may not get there in 1 year or even in one term.
He stayed there with his allies, planning, masterminding, and building an underground network to resist this presidency. I've shown you the past color revolutions and how they began. I've shown you how it's playing out here, right now. We look to the future because this has been a war game. They've been planning it for a long while now. This is what they say will happen on election night. Tonight, civil war, the left's election night war game. Hello, America. Welcome to the program. I want to talk to you tonight about a couple of documents. And I want to start off with this because what I'm going to show you is something I hoped I'd never have to do. I started this series with that feeling. This is the show I never wanted to do. I believe these documents at least this document could be used in the court of law, I think, to show treason. This is the document that Barack Obama funded, and we'll talk about it here. This actually is a document that says the Tea Party was successful. And they've used everything against Trump based on this document to get people out into the streets. And I'll show you this in a minute. But what I'm going to show you tonight is worse when you read it firsthand. When you actually look at this document, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Do not take anything I say at face value. I don't want your trust, nor do I need your trust. I think I can only gain trust when you check everything that I say. And if I get it wrong, I apologize and correct it. But we're not wrong. This is from them. And it will show you exactly what's coming. Let me take you where we were in the last episode. To destroy America, the free market, the Western way of life, what you need to do is have a bottom-up, top-down kind of revolution. A color revolution is what the State Department and the CIA calls it. This is what I call Red November, because it's going to be red with either fires, red with communists, or Donald Trump is going to sweep, and it will be red that way. But what they've done, and we took you through it, these 7 steps. The first one is you have to have a semi-autocratic. You have to be able to say, that guy's Hitler. We have that. Then you have to have an unpopular leader, the most unpopular of all time. Then you have to have the media prepare for election fraud. Did you notice what happened in the debate? During the debate, will you accept these results? Hillary Clinton herself said, we're not going to give up, and I will show you in their own documents what they have planned. Then we start here. I'm going to show you the future. This is happening now. I've shown you the past on where it all came from, but let me show you the future. On election night, you're going to hear things like, this election isn't over. This is a long way to go. We can't declare a winner. That is planned, and I'll show you the documents. That's something new in America. I'd like to just point out, remember, like I think we can't remember anything from 4 years ago. Then they have the indie media. Already they're working, softening you up, saying there's going to be election fraud, there's going to be all kinds of problems. Then the independent media, along with social media and the mainstream media, will begin to say there's something wrong. There's integrity, problem with the integrity. We should call in the National Guard. I'll show you these steps tonight. They're going to seem spontaneous unless you read these documents and share them with your friends. Then you have the spontaneous uprisings, just like in Egypt. Then you get to this point where you have to split the government and the military. And I'm going to show you tonight how they're doing it with the National Guard. The Democrats have already spoken about calling in the National Guard at this point. It's all in their plan. Democrats will call out the National Guard to stop Donald Trump. Then you have the riots right here, because anarchy is ruling. And the riots are right here. So at the seat of power, somebody's got to come down. If it's Donald Trump, that just proves he's a totalitarian dictator. But if it's not, who could possibly come down? The benevolent other side, the deep state that has everybody in place. They're autocrats. The nation runs by itself now. We don't really need a president. The Great Reset will come. Agenda 2030, power and money. That's all they care about. They don't even care about the people that they say they are supporting and shoving money up to all these people. They don't care. These people are worthless to them. They're expendable. They just want the money and power, and they will come down and kill them. Because that's what happens in revolutions. All you have to do is read a history book. That sounds crazy. Sounds like treason. Please, I want you to listen with an open mind for your friends. What I'm showing you is planned out in advance. I've been laying this out over the last 2 weeks. Members of the Obama administration, the State Department, they wrote the playbook for color revolution in the streets. We've seen it play out over the last 3 years in our own country, and it actually culminates the week of the election. I pray to God that we do not get what we deserve. I pray to God we have another chance and none of this happens. But there is no getting around the fact that multiple scenarios have already been game planned for election night. There is no compromise here. It's either they get into office or they destroy us. Pillars 1 through 4, all set up. Tonight, I'm going to show you what they have planned for the future. This is something you need to share with your friends, and if they need to be brought up to speed, please, just join us at Blaze TV. Everything is on demand. All of this stuff is explained over the last year. All of these specials that we have done, it's all there. You just have to watch them and put them together, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's insane what's happening. We have an offer code, Save Our Democracy, and you get 20% off at blaze.com/Glenn. Please support us, because if I'm right, it's going to be very hard for anyone to get this information come election day. All right, as I pointed out for over a year now regarding Ukraine, everything always comes back to the relationship between high-ranking Democrats and spooky dude George Soros. This document serves as Doc Brown's DeLorean. It takes us back into time, and it also goes forward into the future. This is the left's election night playbook prepared by an organization called the Transition Integrity Project. You might have heard it described as, oh, this completely bipartisan. Really? Well, the founder is a woman named Rosa Brooks. She's a law professor and a columnist that actually worked for the Pentagon from 2009 to 2011. And it should be no surprise that one of her old bosses was George Soros. I mean, it's almost laughable at this point. Really? Now, I'm going to show you here an email that was part of the Podesta hack revealed by WikiLeaks. Brooks emailed Podesta, referencing a meeting that they both attended with George Soros. She ended up with an offer of help, quote, "Let me know if there's anything I can do to be helpful to you and Jake." Well, Jake is Jake Sullivan, who worked for Joe Biden when he was vice president, also Hillary Clinton. And now he's back with Biden as part of his team. So here we have Brooks and the Transition Integrity Project, who claim to be totally nonpartisan. How's that happening? Attending bigwig meetings with Democrats at George Soros's house and offering their help to both John Podesta and Jake Sullivan. Was producing the Preventing a Disrupted Presidential Election and Transition document part of that support? Well, I showed you last week the left used that research to wargame everything they're planning to do on election night. That organization that convened the war game was a group called Fight Back Table. It was convened, organized, and paid for by George Soros. Again, they don't even hide it. This is George Soros's organization, Democracy Alliance, where they proudly boast that the Fight Back Table is their initiative. This is entirely a Soros-run operation. His former employee, who still attends high-level meetings with both him and top Democrats, wrote the playbook, and the Soros organization sponsored the war game. Now, the event was split between two sides, Team Trump and Team Biden. Take a note of some of the participants here because you're sure to hear from them on TV November 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, in January as this thing keeps going on. On the GOP side, attendees included people like Bill Kristol and the former RNC chairman, Michael Steele, both stab us in the back traitors. Now, that should tell you everything you need to know about the Lincoln Project for sure. They're teaming up with Democrats, and they're in league with George frickin' Soros. Hello? By the way, George Soros doesn't practice Judaism, and I don't care who you were born as, where you were born. I don't care if you're a Presbyterian and you believe your soul gets trapped on your roof and you can't get it down. I don't care. This is not about persons. It's not about their religion. It's not about their ethnic background. George Soros is evil. Period. Now, Republicans also had the former Kentucky Secretary of State, Trey Grayson, in attendance. Guess where he's been writing op-eds and what he's been writing about lately? Yeah, how mail-in voting is so crucial this year. The hubris of this group is insane. I don't think I've ever seen such a blatant and obvious conspiracy just laid out for the entire world to see. It is amazing. You can find this yourself, and the New York Times still says it's a conspiracy. It's all for Team Biden. Well, he was represented on Team Biden by people like John Podesta and the former DNC chairman, Donna Brazile. But it also included multiple other participants from various backgrounds. Really important, listen to this. According to their own words, other participants included political strategists, journalists, polling experts, tech and social media experts, and former career officials from the intelligence community, the Justice Department, and the military, and the Department of Homeland Security. Deep State Central. I don't even know where to start with all of that. They all sound bat crap crazy, right? But let's center in on the journalist and social media, because that goes directly to pillar number 5. Enough independent media to inform citizens about the falsified vote. I mean, it's a meme at this point to criticize the mainstream media on their bias. We all know it exists, that they're comfortably in bed with the left, but there is a lot more going on here than just your typical left-wing bias. This is a new phase. This is a revolutionary phase. Look at the cover-up at any mention at all on any of this that is currently happening. Watch Newt Gingrich. He mentioned the holy name of George Soros and immediately got shut down on Fox. The New York Times, just last week or before, just 2 weeks ago, called me a conspiracy theorist for talking about Soros's influence over the media. Where's the conspiracy? It's well known that Soros funds David Brock and Media Matters with millions. It's there. Brock has bragged about his organization directly influencing the media. This is an excerpt from a leaked email released by WikiLeaks. They bragged that they conducted, quote, over 900 on-the-record and off-the-record media interviews and sent 80 sets of talking points, backgrounds, materials, and briefings on topical issues. 372 surrogates, including influential and frequent pundits on broadcast and cable news. It also sent media advisories and talking points to 960 members of the national media and 10,756 regional reporters in 28 states, and to 369 television producers and bookers. Soros has the financial ties to more than 30 major news organizations. NPR was even caught by Project Veritas of trying to cover up their relationship with George Soros. This is how you buy the media and control the narrative. This gives George Soros and the left the ability to cover anything they want. Have you noticed nobody is talking about probably the biggest scandal in our country's history? What Barack Obama was briefed on. We have the notes now on how Hillary Clinton was suspected of concocting some sort of master plan where Donald Trump would be accused of being in bed with Russia. They knew it. We have the documents. It came out yesterday. Where is that? That wasn't even in the debate yesterday. They still say that's not true. Why? Because they control the media, and if it didn't happen on NBC, well, it just didn't happen. Did you see this from Fox or Vox? They're actually trying to say that we are the ones setting the stage for revolution. Please come in. Let me tell you something. I pointed out that Barack Obama, I said, was a racist. No, that's not quite right. He seems to have a deep-seated hatred for the white culture. Oh, Glenn Beck is a racist. Wait, I just pointed out that he seems to have a problem with the white culture. What is that called? That's now known as critical race theory. I was right. But I said, I think he's a racist. No, that's not quite. And because I said that, I am a racist now. Let me get this straight. If I point out what the left is doing, I'm doing it? Wow, that's a whole new time zone I've never been in. We are entering a new ball game with the media. They clearly have their talking points, and you will see it play out all the way through election night. I'm going to post this at glennbeck.com. You can follow it day by day. Be the amazing Kreskin. They're going to call for the National Guard. Did you see how they all pounced last week over the claim that Trump wouldn't commit to a peaceful transition of power? It's so ridiculous, but almost every mainstream outlet picked it up and ran. They're acting as if Trump said he'd barricade himself in the White House if he lost. That's not what he said. He said there would be a continuation because of all of the mail-in ballots. That's literally the same thing the Democrats are saying. But they twisted Trump's response. It was a total setup and a question for all of them to immediately jump on. Look at this from page 1 of the Transition Integrity Project's report. Okay? Page 1. The concept of election night is no longer accurate and indeed is dangerous. We face a period of they're going to contest it, stretching from the first day a ballot is cast in mid-September until January 20th. The winner may not, and we assess likely will not, be known on election night as officials count mail-in ballots. So now what we've all grown up with, we're supposed to embrace that it's dangerous. What? Now, that's basically the same thing that Trump was talking about because he knew, but with one key difference. The left is not concerned at all of the fraud surrounding mail-in ballots. They kick out at least 20 to 30% of all of the ballots every time with mail-in ballots. You do that, the left is going to say they're disenfranchising 20% of the vote. You can see it. In a sane environment, this would probably kick off a few warning bells, especially when you see things like this. Wow.
At the end of this street,
Yes.
there's 3 towers called Horn Towers.
Okay.
And it's all seniors, and they took every ballot.
Every ballot. They just take
Every
them from
single
them.
ballot. They knock on the door and say, your ballots, come give it to me, give it to me.
They don't even pay them for it. They just take it.
No. And the ones that didn't vote on ballots, the young people and the women and stuff, they were paying cash. They were getting bags of money the last 1 week here to drive people.
Today, the New York Times said that story didn't show any illegalities. And it was just a whipped up story by the right. Okay, what about the military ballots cast for Trump that were discarded? These are just stories that were dropped over the last few days. New York, what was it? They had double the number of ballots go out. There is no telling how bad this is going to get, but the left isn't worried one bit. It's interesting. And if you're curious as what the media is preparing to do and lead up on election night, you need look no further than this piece from the Washington Post over the weekend. This is not a drill. The Reichstag is burning. I want you to listen to this. Try to hold your temper. Quote, "It's abundantly clear that Trump plans to fabricate an election emergency. First, he claimed mail-in balloting, a tried and true system. No, it's not. It's fraudulent. Now his supporters are trying to harass in-person voters. Really? Shooting down all questions regarding the mail-in ballots is priority number 1. Media priority number 2 is framing Trump's attempts to ensure the ballots are legitimate as a constitutional crisis. And priority number 3, well, that's in here too." Let's look at the next quote. "Let's be clear. There is only one political party in American politics embracing violence. There is only one side refusing to denounce all political violence." You know who they think that is? They think the only ones that are violent are the Republicans. What world is this intended for? Republicans have condemned violence since day one. The Tea Party was never violent. It was the left that refuses to speak out against Antifa and BLM. In fact, the violence is part of their election night strategy, and blaming it on the right is also part of their plan. They're so arrogant, they write about it. I'll show you in a minute.